Greetings to them with the most high Rastafari. This is the girl Jen, sister Jenny, Auntie Jenny, and if you want to get formal, it's the Miss Jennifer Frederick. Another edition of the We Talk the Thing Unfiltered. People, today is Friday, the week is over, the month is almost over. We in 2026. Just now is Easter, just now is the sun. Time and tide waits on no one, but I just wait on my peeps, right? So we start this thing one time, you got have plenty things to talk. And you know me afraid to talk. And we must have the pledge.
I solemnly pledge to dedicate my life to the service of my God and my country. I will honor my parents, my teachers, my leaders, and my elders, and those in authority. I will be clean and honest in all my thoughts, my words, and my deeds. I will strive in everything I do to work together with my fellow men of every creed and race for the greater happiness of all and the honor and glory of my country.
You know, we must play the anthem and the pledge. That's a staple in this show, and I will always continue to do so. All if I see my tongue looking at the brown and think, I wasn't doing what them does be talking about. I drinking this because I didn't eat, so I drinking this right now. Yes, all little one, but you know, all not easy. So I saw this and I thought it was important, especially what we're going through in this country at this time. We have never seen racism so openly and so naked in front of our faces before. And I saw this is about Brazil, and I want you all to listen to this.
So did you guys know that racism is illegal in Brazil and can actually get you arrested? Guys, I'm about to go over one of the biggest fuck around and find out stories that you might have heard in the travel space in a while. But basically, this 29-year-old female from Argentina named Agustina Paez was visiting Rio de Janeiro in January. She was at a bar with friends, and I guess they were drinking, having a good old time. The tab came by. She was in disagreement with the amount I guess she was being charged. A dispute ended up happening. She exited the establishment and then proceeded to do monkey noises, basically calling the staff monkeys, which is considered racism. And so she thought she was going to get away with it. Everything was going to be cool. She was going back to Argentina, no problem. Psych. Brazil said, hell nah, we ain't standing for that. And they got her ass. They arrested her. And then on top of that, they released her on an ankle bracelet. And she has to remain in Brazil for the duration of time until they sentence her. And she could be sentenced to 2 to 5 years of imprisonment. Okay? So Brazil does not fuck around when it comes to racism, guys. Make sure you're doing your research when you're going to a different country before you end up getting locked up for something stupid. I know people that have been locked up for smoking cigarettes, smoking weed overseas. And I'm not even trying to say that racism is something you guys should be doing overseas. Like, obviously, learn to be a bit more open-minded and not be ignorant. I don't condone racism. But in this case, this idiot didn't realize that racism is illegal in Brazil. She thought it was like Argentina where you could say and do whatever you want. But in Brazil, you can't do that. and they locked her ass up, and she found out very quickly that you can't fuck around in Brazil. So guys, I hope you enjoyed that story, and make sure you do your research before you go to other countries, guys. Simple as that.
My apologies for the obscene language. That kind of slipped me. But at the end of the day, this is not a children's show. Yes, I do have things we could learn from, and sometimes I do tell you that obscene language is there. So I urge this time. However, this is unfiltered, right? So when I saw that, I was like, what? Let me go and look up a little more on this thing because I was intrigued by this whole thing, right? So racism in Brazil is a crime. Brazil with no statute of limitation at all. So once they charge you for racism, it could be 10 years ago, you do it, whatever. Apparently, there's no statute of limitation on that. The 1988 Constitution and Law number 7.716/1989 classify racial discrimination as a felony with penalties to 2 to 5 years in prison, including for racist insults and, in some cases, workplace discrimination. Key aspects of those racism as a crime in Brazil, it says here, it involves offenses against people's honor based on race, color, ethnicity, religion, or natural origin. Racial insults previously treated separately are now firmly classified as a form of racism. Legal consequences, excuse me, the crime is non-bailable and imprescriptible. What do I say? Listen, these people in the law terms, imprescriptible. I'm not saying it over. I can spell it. imprescriptible. No, let me try it again now. Imprescriptible. Yes, I get it. You say I must try again. All right. I really am saying it over now. Meaning offenders can be prosecuted regardless of when the act occurred. Despite these laws, structural and systemic racism persists in Brazil, particularly regarding police violence and inequality, says War Prevention Initiative and Race and Equality Organization, right? So I say, oh, this looks like something our country could look into because I don't have a problem with the conversation about race relations starting. We need to start that conversation here. So I did a little more research and it says here, Brazil treats, again I said it, Brazil treats racism as a serious, legally prohibited crime. And that is based on the 1988 Constitution, and it would have defined what racism is. And the legal framework, the Constitution classifies racism as a crime with no statute of limitation. I said that anti-discrimination laws date back to 1950s, Alfonso Arena law, and that have been strengthened over time. And it says that structural and institutional issues, despite laws, racism is deeply entrenched in institutions, including healthcare and policing, where Afro-Brazilians face higher rates of violence, socioeconomic disparities. Black and brown Brazilians frequently experience lower income, often half that of white Brazilians, worse living conditions, and underrepresentation in elite spaces. Excuse me, police violence. A high percentage of police involved killings target young blacks and brown individuals. Affirmative action since 2001, affirmative action policies have been implemented in public universities to address historical underrepresentation. Myth or racial democracy. Historically, a belief in a harmonious melting pot has been used to mask or downplay the reality of racial prejudice, often referred to as racial gaslighting. Recently, the Brazilian Supreme Court officially recognized the existence of structural racism in the country, and in 2024, the government issued a formal apology to the Black population for historical racism. However, challenges remain in implementing these protections effectively. And as I read this just now, and it spoke about myth of racial democracy. Is it that it is a myth in Trinidad and Tobago when we speak about this melting pot and this belief in this harmonious melting pot, and that is used to mask and downplay the reality of racial pre- prejudice, often referred to as racial gaslighting, because we see under canopy services and this UNC, a lot of gaslighting has been done. We saw it in the ads in 2020, the whole racist ads. We see it in the things that they say about people of African descent, the whole thing about you only Duncy children as UN PNM children, and calling Dr. Rowley breadfruit and blank man and Oreo and all that, and stigmatizing him as a rapist and a pedophile. So is it that it is a myth that we have this melting pot and harmonious relationship between the races? Really, it is masking the underlying challenges we have, and this UNC have a way of igniting it even more with the gaslighting. So that's something to think about, and I think it's time that this government, any government, and lobby groups and emancipation committee and those who into black power and who into black agendas and who into upliftment of black people and brown peoples, and that they should, or we should start to lobby for laws to be changed to include in it race and hate crime. Just a suggestion. So let me continue. I see that our Trinidad and Tobago team in the Pan Am Games, we are doing well, especially in the cycling. This guy Nicholas Paul, just like how we celebrate the Dream Richards in sprint. Not to say that we haven't had other sprinters, but understand what I mean. This guy Nicholas Paul in what you call the thing, cycling, he has been doing well. So just a little clip.
I feel really great to win the Karen this year. I mean, I worked very hard building up to this, so it's a pleasure coming to Chile and being able to win the Karen.
So I think we would have won two medals. Nicholas Paul won one, and I think somebody else won a bronze. We have been doing fantastic, those young ones in cycling, and we need to always uplift our athletes, right? In whatever field they're in. So let me continue. He continues. I see West Indies. West Indies has won all the 4 games in the first round in the T20 so far, which is really really something good, because sometimes we doesn't have nothing good to say about the own team, because of the losers they have, and in terms of the bacchanal with the West Indies cricket and management and all that. So it's good to see this guy, Darren Sammy, seems to be one who puts his head down and just does the work despite the insults and the ridicule and all that about West Indies. So I say congratulations to them, and I hope that in the next rounds that they are also able to win all their games. So the West Indies, I saw a little write-up on it. Excuse me. It says here West Indies complete T20 World Cup group stage undefeated after beating Italy. And this was the 20th of the second month, 2026. And it says here in the Guardian, West Indies T20 World Cup completed the group stage. I saw they have it right there. Let me write it, no, right. Group stage no, I can't read that. Let me read the rest. This thing with the right here, I don't know what this is about. Italy finishes its maiden World Cup appearance with plaudits after stunning Nepal and losing to England narrowly and Scotland and West Indies. Both teams have struggled on what appeared to be good batting pitches in Eden Garden. West Indies captain Shari Hope starred with 75 of 46 balls, his second straight World Cup half century, and the next best score was Ben Maninti, 26 for Italy. West Indies defended a subpar 165. Italy lost 3 wickets in the power play thanks to medium pacer Matthew Ford and pacer Shoma Joseph limited Italy to a middle and death over with 3 shots to 14. I'm not a cricket person, so I reading it, and I hope it makes sense, Story. Joseph also took 4 catches. Hey, you hear what? The main thing is that we have won all our games. In the first round, we beat Italy. Yes, look, the thing here about director. It was good, pull me out, So that is it there. All you read it, all you see it. We won by 42 runs. We doing good. Let me spur them on that they win the next runs, the next games, and convincingly, and let us bring home the T20. Let us celebrate and have a time. Hard work does pay off. Right, so that is it there. West Indies cricket. Good things, good things, good things. Also, there's some sad news. One of our Calypsonians, Black Prince, would have died. I saw it recently. I want to say condolences to the family of Black Prince. Yeah, so all pardon. Sorry about that, but it was so nicely done. You could watch it again. So to the family of Black Prince again, I say condolences, and to the Calypso fraternity, also to the Calypso fraternity, they have lost another one. Rest in eternal peace. Papa, I saw this little video of Miss John, and my concern has nothing to do with where she was at or where she's wearing or what she is wearing. It is about why we always like to be all up in other people's culture and practices, and somehow we fail to cherish ours or know much about ours. So I saw Miss John here and I'm saying to myself, when you do that in a Hindu spiritual celebration, a person of African descent, because they say you can't born a Hindu, eh? I mean, you have to be born a Hindu, eh? You can't become a Hindu. So you know that those celebrations, spiritual celebration for the Hindus when they do the prayer and all that, it is for people of Indian descent who are Hindus. That is what I surmise it to be, because if you have to be born a Hindu, you can't just like a Baptist, you could be a Catholic and then go into the Baptist faith, baptize and do what is necessary there, and vice versa. But they say with Hindus, you have to be born a Hindu. So I saw Miss John doing this, and I was like, come now, Miss John. It's good to celebrate too, but look, watch this. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Har Har Bhole Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. I find sometimes we just want to do too much and too pushy. Going to people's celebration and sit down and think with them now. You have to dress up in sari. You remember they said the sari is holy or sacred, And if you can't become a Hindu, you have to be born a Hindu. You're in the people's sacred outfit and you're not a Hindu. Look, Miss John, I know it's a hard work and everything and thing, but oh God, sometimes you have to do so much. Your reputation with your hard work and success precedes you. So you have to work so hard. That's just my opinion. And then I'm seeing here, I've always said that the year 2026 is for sentencing. All who was judged in 2025, the year of the Jubilee, when all who was doing the wrong thing, everything come to the surface again, sentence, they say, I speak in spiritually. If they get sentenced physically, okay. I speak about spiritually, really. People getting sentenced, they say, quick. So I'm seeing that British police has arrested former Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew is the brother of the king. And it all has to do with the Epstein files. They say, we could tell a story good. They say it looked like when he was like, for want of a better word, like the ambassador or something. So for England going about, spreading the goodness of England and that kind of, when I say spreading the goodness, you know what I mean, in terms of trade and probably other things now. He was involved with the whole Epstein thing, or Epstein, and this like he did trade in secret and whatever. Now all you know, Jeffrey Epstein is the man who they say used to do all kind of thing with sexual thing with little children, little this, little, and so much people name on it right now. The files released and it's thousands of pages and the kind of people name inside that. And they say the President of America, Donald Trump, he name calling the whole scene too. So like the Harrell thing, because they arrest Andrew, and then I guess they must see release him on bail, and then I hear like police gone back to searching house, all kind of things. So like they had to, listen, this thing we sitting back and watch. But it's a nice. It's a nice we coming out from this. The kind of thing I hear they say what's happening on Epstein Islands with these children and young people and who get raped and thing. It is horrifying. It is horrifying. And that is and Donald Trump is who come up with Bussessa and this UNC, like there is a hero worshiping and he name calling that. So anyway, let me continue. So Minister of Finance, Bubbles. I just call him Bubbles. I'm a pet name saying Bubbles. His neck glowing bubbles. Because before you could have seen neck, now it only look like he headrest on top of his shoulder. So like a big bubble. And when things nice with them things going, like them does the eating, drinking, everything, or his pressure, one out of the two, he retaining water. Or remember he did end up in the hospital. Something happened. He did fall down or some kind of thing. Suppose it is high blood pressure and he did feel dizzy and he fall down. I don't know. Remember, we tell him stories. We are good storytellers, right? But I'm not lying about him ending up in hospital. He did end up in hospital. But when I watch him and I watch his face, it looking big and bloated and it's resting on top of his neck and then all the buttons cut. I say he under pressure. Anyway, he say, Bubbles say, I just give everybody a nickname. Bubbles say in the Guardian that the government revenue plans will bear fruits. So I read just a little piece. I can't deal with Bubbles all straight through. Finance Minister Dave Tanko has acknowledged that the International Monetary Fund will be paying close attention to government projected time frames for its policies. But he says the administration is confident in its ability and that its plan will bear fruit in broad-based national growth and development. Tanku made that clear yesterday, that's a couple of days ago, in a brief response to Guardian media queries regarding the IMF concluding statement on TNT. This was delivered on Tuesday following the IMF team visit from January the 27th to February the 9th to conduct its annual Article IV mission. So that before, IV so. The IMF team concluded statements involved 22 points of observation on government's operation plans and other aspects and was interceded with recommendations, advice, and alerts on financial and economic issues. Tanku was asked if government would implement any of the IMF recommendations contained within its statement, including broadening the tax base, structural reform, removal of utility subsidies, and a more flexible exchange rate. Tanku said, the IMF or they have expressed confidence that they are seeing levels of fiscal and monetary policies that are designed to promote growth and development, and they will obviously be paying close attention to projected time frames, etc. We are confident in our ability as a government and that our plans will bear fruits in broad-based national growth and development. I just want to say this, right? All it must bear fruit, all it taxing this country into prosperity and the citizens into poverty. So they're getting money from that. So I don't know what you're talking about. What other plans will they have? And the IMF like them kind of things. The IMF isn't austerity measures. I hear they're talking about removing subsidy. But I want to see all they're doing that removing subsidy from gas and oil. I want to see all they're doing that one. So when you're saying that like he wants to see the IMF looking at them favorably, the kind of things they have to do for IMF to look at you real favorably is not what the citizens will stand for. We had episodes of that in the 80s with the NAR. Yeah? Okay. So I have seen I'm not an economist, I'm just a citizen. I have not seen any plans that this government has made or done that will increase productivity, increase our domestic gross product or domestic national product. I have not seen anything. All you see them making money from is tax. That can never be a plan, economic plan, right? So let me move on with that. So he says so. And what going on with this thing, boy? Right. Today is one of them days. So while he's saying them thing, right? I see this notice coming from the chairman office, February 19, 2026, is the San Juan Laventille Regional Corporation. And here it says, notice. The council, let me see if we have it here so you all could see that me reading my own thing. This is real. Oh gosh, no, it's this. What's going on, right? What? The council and management of the San Juan Laventille Regional Corporation, SJLRC, that's the acronym, acknowledge the growing concerns and frustration among staff regarding the delayed payment of salaries to our daily rated employees. The corporation has not yet received the requisite funds from the government for the disbursement of these salaries, which has resulted in the current delay. Staff are assured that the office of the chairman, together with the corporation management, is actively engaged in the line ministry and the Ministry of Finance to urgently resolve this matter and facilitate payment at the earliest possible time. The council and management thanks all employees for their continued patience and understanding during this period. Yours respectfully, Alderman Richard Walker, Chairman, Cyar Laventille Regional Corporation. So, I don't know what fruits are what labor, because when man work, man expect to get the fruits from that labor. Apparently, the daily rated workers at the Cyar Laventille Regional Corporation ain't getting no fruits. Let me continue. They like to boast up themselves, you know. Massive job losses under the UNC. 5,000 forestry workers, gone. 11,000 CPAP workers, gone. 400 URP workers, gone. 200 change agent, gone. 2,800 ministry contract workers, 400 RASA workers, 1,600 health authority workers, 500 school BOAs, like business office assistants, secretary. How much? 164 guidance counselors, 227 school social workers, 160 special education officers, 100,000 job losses for Carnival. And the Prime Minister said they're going to look into AI in the public service. So I don't know what fruits that Bubbles is saying this country is going to benefit from based on whatever policies that the government put in place. Because if you're firing people to make money and raise taxes to make money, the people who you fire and the people who have to pay taxes, who out of who you fire have to still pay the taxes, that is not generating revenue. That is spinning tub in mud, and eventually everything will come to a head. So on paper, it might look good to the IMF. That's why the IMF will be looking on, because they want to see what's going on after that. So whoever all they put on paper, they're looking good, because tax money coming in, all they cut down workforce, all they trimming back. So it's looking good. Let me see how long they could continue that. So let me continue. Tanku are saying Bubbles, That's my name for him. Tanku, aka Bubbles. You have plenty to say, February the 18th, Daily Express. Tanku on government's removal from EU blacklist. Finance Minister Devendra Tanku says Trinidad and Tobago removal from the European Union list of non-cooperative countries reflects his government's sustained commitment to transparency, fairness, adherence, and international accepted standards. In his statement follows that of former Minister Com Embert, who wrote on X Tuesday, European Union removed Trinidad and Tobago from the list of non-cooperative countries for tax transparency, EU blacklist, as a result of the work we did before the April 25th general election. Nothing to do with the UNC, but they will try to take credit. And I have to concur with the former Minister of Finance. So that is why I just say the UNC, everything they do, in my opinion, is always shady. So Finance Minister Devendra Tanku says Trinidad and Tobago removal from the European Union list of non-cooperative countries reflect his government's sustained commitment to transparency. And I want to say to you, Bubbles, you lie. Let me show you how you lie. It has nothing to do with UNC. Let me show you how you lie. First, let me hear what your Prime Minister said. Let me hear what your Prime Minister said. Because I'm going to show you how they lied. So this was in The Guardian 1 day ago. After years of effort, Trinidad and Tobago has been officially removed from the European Union list of non-cooperative jurisdictions for tax purposes following the decision by the EU Economic and Financial Affairs Council yesterday. So let me see what the Prime Minister said. And I will show you how them had nothing to do with it. Here what the article starts with. After years of efforts, Trinidad and Tobago has been officially removed from the European Union list of non-cooperative jurisdiction for tax purposes following a decision by the EU Economic and Financial Affairs Council on Tuesday. Prime Minister Kamala Persad welcomed the development, declaring that the country is no longer blacklisted. Our country has officially been removed from the European Union list of cooperative jurisdiction for tax purposes. A designation applied to countries that fail to meet international standards for tax transparency. This is a major step forward, she said. Persad argued that the previous administration did not secure compliance and removal and maintained that her government acted decisively after assuming office. Okay, I really know more. And I can't take this set of lies. Let me tell you why I say, in my opinion, she lied. Or them lying. That may have nothing to do with this thing. What is this? I want to follow up nothing. Give me a minute again. Okay. So you know what? Let me just go. All of a sudden this thing want to open, but don't worry. Don't worry. Is I going to screenshot something? Let me get the screenshot. You just have to scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll. Come, Jennifer. You can get it. You can get it right. Great. In 2018, it was published. I'll tell you where it was published. Listen. A political standoff in Trinidad and Tobago has dealt a setback to the government's effort to comply with international tax transparency standards, with the ruling party forced to water down key legislation to force its passage. 2018 was in office. Who was in office? The People's National Movement. And what I say? A political standoff in Trinidad and Tobago has dealt a setback to the government, the PNM government's effort to comply with international tax transparency standards, where the ruling party forced to water down key legislation for it to force its passage. Right? Introduced in May by the People's National Movement, the Income Tax Amendment Bill is one of 3 legislative proposals the PNM sees as needed to win removal from tax blacklist maintained by the EU. Right? Who was stymieing it? The UNC. So how Kamala Persad and they want to operate as if them had something to do with the removal and that the PNM didn't do nothing. It's all about stopping the PNM from getting through because that keep watering down all the bills. So remember factor and all them things? Let me continue now. Let me continue. Them feel the UNC in opposition has never made it easy for the People's National Movement, who did not have a 3/5 majority as they do now, when the PNM was in office for the past 10 years prior to UNC coming in office, to pass any bills. If all think a lie, listen to this. This was by Rafiq Shah, 2017. Sunset or sunrise, no support from Kamala. If there was anything shocking about the opposition United National Congress members voting to scuttle the so-called anti-gang legislation in Parliament last week, it was a seemingly shocked expression of the faces of the Prime Minister and the Attorney General and other members of government. I was shocked that they were shocked by the opposition vote. Did Dr. Rowley and his ministers really expect Kamala Persad-Bissessar and her colleagues to support the government in any bit to fight crime? Any street smart Trini could have told the PM long before the bill came up for debate that the UNC will not allow it to be passed in the House. It mattered not what manner of sunset, sunrise, or high noon clauses it contained, or what succession or concessions the government was prepared to mitigate the human rights violation the opposition claimed to be concerned about if the bill became law. They could have offered to pay legal fees for anyone charged, agreed to host suspected gangsters at the Hyatt instead of the dark cells of the prison. Kamala and her gang were never going to facilitate its passage. You see, Kamala Persad-Bissessar UNC is not Bazir Pandey UNC, whose stated purpose while in opposition was not to make the government look good. Kamala UNC is about frustrating government at every turn, subverting it, sabotaging it, making it look helpless and hapless. The Rowley's administration does not need much help here. That is his interpretation of that. But he said, I am convinced that the opposition would sooner see the country bathed in blood, rendered ungovernable, descend into chaos, than lift a voting finger that might help contain or reduce crime if such support might extend the PNM sunset in office by 24 hours. If anything, I was surprised that Kamala did not seek to waver on standing order to enable her to have a temporary MP sworn in and present a live gangster armed and menacing to argue his blood brethren case against anti-gang legislation. Well, she did install a casino grouper in the Senate to speak against increased taxation on gambling. And he was accompanied by a very vocal chorus comprising his colleagues who wrongly abused certain senators and the Senate president in the chamber live on television. So why not a gangster to speak out on violation of his rights? While the opposition predictable position on the law that they first introduced in 2011 signaled their refusal to collaborate with government in fighting tidal wave of crime, I do not see how the absence of such law will hinder the police if they are really serious about dealing with it. And he went on and on, right? The salient point is the UNC has never, in opposition, supported anything to see this country run properly. They didn't support the anti-gang bill. They wasn't supporting this country getting in line with tax transparencies to get us off the European Union blacklist. Nothing. So that's why I tell you that they're lying. And it's not me say so. Let me continue to show you again because I like to bring the receipts in because it's not me who say. Forest UNC 1 chaos. This was Monday, the 18th February 2019. So I read 17, something was 17, I read 18, now reading 19. And this was in the newsday. Attorney General Faris Alwari has accused the opposition UNC of trying to destabilize the country, saying through its refusal to support government in vital legislation, which requires a special majority, The UNC is showing its want the country to fall into organized chaos. Quite simply, my position is the opposition wants chaos. They want the country to collapse because they feel there would be some prosperity in it. Alwari said after speaking at a seminar on meeting global AML/CFT standards and mitigating emerging financial crime threats at the Radisson Hotel last recently. It's why they didn't support the anti-gang bill. That is why they didn't support the income tax, the FACTA, child marriage, sex offender registry. He continued, they want an ungovernable country. A strident Alwari yesterday knocked the opposition. Days after, opposition leader Kamala Persad-Bissessar knocked Dr. Keith Rowley and the PNM and accused them of race baiting. So you could tell me now that this country of the EU list that had anything to do with Kamala Persad-Bissessar and the UNC who now come into office in April? What they do? And you see, they have shown that they're not supporting the PNM and no bill that was in the interest of this country during the PNM last 9 years. And they want to know why the country so. Like them just forget it had the receipts out here. Let me continue. So that's why I tell you, in my opinion, they lie. This had nothing to do with them. And to make it worse, listen to Rambles. You know, I love to play my Rambles. Listen to Rambles.
The Prime Minister put out a statement earlier on. This is what happens because citizens put the UNC into government, and she went on to list out 6 things. Now, she is a politician, and this is what politicians do, but it's important for the country not to be misled. So let's go through those 6 things, starting with the first one, removal from the EU blacklist. But this is why it's so easy for politicians to mislead the public. The truth isn't always easy to find. You have to go to the page, scroll down to the appropriate menu, go into a sub-menu in that menu, and in that sub-menu, you go into a next sub-menu, which will give you years and dates, and then scroll down to the Trinidad section, which will give you the entire timeline. And it's only then, after much reading, you are now faced with the truth. TNT has been making changes to our laws for many years to get off this list. In other words, don't let the smile fool you. She knows that he didn't do a damn thing in the past 10 months to fast track this process. This isn't something where you make a change on Monday and you approve it on Tuesday. It has to be reviewed, and it takes time to be reviewed. Secondly, how did we end up on this EU blacklist in the first place? Back in 2016, the EU came up with a new initiative that really took shape and form in 2017. The same site have the whole timeline. We in Trinidad were comfortable playing the game, and then the EU changed the rules of the game, and we then had to conform to those new rules. Nobody put us on that blacklist. It wasn't an existing list, and we ran afoul of it, and they put us on the list. It was something new, and many countries around the world had to change their tax laws to conform to it. And you can't just change those things overnight. It takes time. Oh, and by the way, there was talk since 2024 that we were going to be removed from the EU blacklist. Just an FYI. Point number 2, we got an OFAC license. Yay, Dragon Gas deal back. But we had it though. We had everything in place though. And then you went to the man in America and mash it up, and now bring it back, and acting like it's something new you bring. Point number 3, a good IMF report. Firstly, the IMF noted that these changes didn't happen in the past 10 months. It happened over the past couple of years. Secondly, you all rushed a bunch of austerity measures because you all know the IMF will come in and take a look at the books. And thirdly, let us not pretend that we didn't just get 2 downgrades from Standard & Poor's and Moody's. Let's not pretend that we still have a forest currency issue. Let's not pretend that many persons didn't get that email from FCB Bank a couple of weeks ago. The forex issue is worse now than it was a year ago. Fight me on that. So let's not pretend like you all are fixing anything. Point number 4, the whole revitalization project. I don't see how you all are going to fund this 10-year, $16 billion program, but I'm pro-development. So if you all can pull it off, thumbs up for that. Point number 5, the bond was oversubscribed by 2.5 times. Let me explain something to you all. A bond is a government looking for a loan. Obviously, if you offer investors a 6.5 interest rate, they are going to take it. You are boasting about taking a loan from people. Paying 6.5 interest is not investor confidence. They didn't come because they're confident in the country. They came because you're offering them 6.5%. And the Trinis need to understand that we are not getting 6.5%. We are paying that in interest every year. And lastly, point number 6, increased interest in our energy sector from international investors. Capitalism, do not leave money on the table, especially oil and gas companies. That is why they just be all out in the middle of nowhere, drilling thousands of feet below the seabed to get oil and gas out of the earth. Where there's oil, they are going to come. Which is why if you go and you read up on our oil and gas sector, outside of the Dragon Gas deal, we already had other projects on the way waiting to bear fruit. Wait for them a few months from now, come and to say, we started this and look at delivering and bearing fruit. Come on, I understand the politics, but a whole post to mislead people. This government does lie so much that I was watching a press conference with them a few months ago. The man got up and said, good afternoon. And I looked out my window to see if it really afternoon, you know. Because for all I knew, it could have been night, and he lying about that too, you know.
Yeah. So don't let the UNC and Bubbles and them fool all you. The hard work that the People's National Movement put in, whatever fruits being born now is because of their work. UNC has done nothing but further destroy our economy at a rapid rate. Excuse me. While the PNM was trying its best under the circumstances of declining oil and gas, prices declining, coming out of COVID-19, coming out of a recession, and having to treat a recurring expenditure with workers, nobody was sent home. Not a worker was sent home under all the trying times. We didn't go to the IMF. And actually, IMF and Moody and Standard & Poor's would have given us good grading, positive rating under the People's National Movement up until last year, so early last year before the general election and 2024. This year, 2-point-something growth and that kind of thing. Don't be fooled. So let me continue. I heard this from our Honorable Minister of Defense. And this is what he said. And I was like, oh, okay. I don't know, we didn't have rights. So this is what he said.
I don't think we have a right to know if there are foreign military officers in our country, in our soil.
You have a right to know?
Of course.
Okay. You have a right to know. Where you get that right?
So the Honorable Minister of Defense is asking the reporter, something Bihari, I think it was, who was asking, are there still US military personnel in our country, or soldiers, or whatever personnel? And our Honorable Minister would have like not wanted to answer it, and the guy say, well, we have a right to know. He has a right to know. And the Honorable Minister asked him, you have a right to know? Which part you have a right to know? And I think the guy went on to say, well, because he live in here, like basically he live in here, we have a right to know. Okay. So I saw somebody would put up under that press conference, people just have made comments, and it says, short answer from chapter GPT after receiving the Constitution, after reviewing the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago. In practical democratic terms, citizens are entitled to know that such a presence exists. They are not entitled to the operational intelligence detail. And the guy was asking, he did not want to know about if they have military operation going on and what are they doing in helping our country with crime. He didn't ask that. He just wanted to know that they're still here. And he said he has a right to know. And to me, he was ridiculed because he asked, what right you have? That was basically the intonation could be interpreted by the Honorable Minister. So I said, let me do some little thing and see, because me no constitutional lawyer, me no lawyer, as an ordinary citizen. In Trinidad and Tobago, it is your constitutional right to question, criticize, and hold the government accountable. These rights are fundamental to the democracy of the nation and are protected by the Constitution of Trinidad, or the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. So this is a bit of a breakdown. Here's a breakdown of your rights regarding questioning the government. So constitutional rights. Free expression, freedom of expression. Section 4.1 of the Constitution explicitly guarantees freedom of thought and expression. This allows citizens to voice opinions, criticize public officials, and question government action. So why are they trying to censor Calypso? Freedom of the press, Section 4K, recognizes the freedom of the press, which includes the right to disseminate information without prior censorship, freedom of assembly and association. Citizens have the rights to peaceful assembly, such as protest and demonstration, to express views on the government policies. And we saw when the two young ladies would have expressed that to the police officer when they were having their demonstration outside the Red House on the Sunday, in with the death or the murder of Joshua Samaru and his wife, Kia Celia, I think it is. Please forgive me if I didn't get the names right. Right? So let me continue. Equality of treatment. The Constitution protects the right to receive equal treatment from public authorities. Mechanism of accountability, the Ombudsman. The Office of the Ombudsman allows citizens to lodge complaints against government departments regarding unfair treatment or maladministration. Judicial review. Citizens have the right to approach the High Court to challenge the legality of decisions made by the government and state officials. Public accountability. The Constitution mandates the existence of Public Accounts Committee to scrutinize government spending. Limits to questioning. While the right to question is guaranteed, it is not absolute. Limitations include libel and slander. Expressing opinions that defame the reputation of others is not protected. National security and public officer orders. Rights can be restricted by law when necessary to protect public safety or national security. Sedition Act. While often criticized as antiquated, this act remains in law of Trinidad and Tobago, with some concerns regarding its use to limit free expression, particularly regarding actions that might be interpreted as inciting riot. In summary, you are encouraged to exercise your right to participate in the political affairs of the country and to demand accountability from those in power. What it means to hold a government accountable? Holding a government accountable means that public officials are obligated to justify their actions, decisions, and use of public resources to the citizens with consequences for misconduct or inefficiency. It ensures transparency, limits abuses of power through checks and balances, and enables voters to compel responsiveness, typically through elections, media, and civil society. Key aspects of holding a government accountable include transparency and information. Citizens have the right to know how decisions are made, how funds are spent, and to access public data. Consequences and sanctions. When government fails, accountability requires that they face penalties, such as being voted out of office or subjected to legal action. Oversight mechanism. This involves using independent institutions like auditors or courts to check for corruption and ensure laws are followed. Active citizen participation. This includes monitoring government action, protesting, and directly communicating with representatives. Holding a government accountable is essential for maintaining public trust, preventing corruption, and ensuring public service meets the needs of the population. So the Freedom of Information Act is one way also of holding the government accountable by writing to find out or get answers from different governmental, public or private sector on issues that are concerning demonstration, protest. And all the gentleman was asking, which is his right, because we have that right under the Constitution, is holding the government accountable who are making decisions on our behalf. Are there still American soldiers here? A yes or no could have sufficed. You asking, what right and who right? Those things are what help to erode public trust. Because the gentleman did not ask what they're doing here. The gentleman did not ask, tell us what are their operational strategies or anything like that. He just wanted to know, as all of us, I guess, would want to know, are the Americans still here? Because the radar is still up, and the Americans will not just leave the radar up and gone. Because that thing costs $100. I'm sure that costs millions of dollars to put up. So they must have people who probably man that radar or some kind of thing. So, all right. So people know your rights, please. And holding a government accountable, because they used to want to hold the People's National Movement accountable, which was quite okay. But now they want nobody to ask them for nothing or ask them about nothing. So Kamla Persad-Bissessar would have said about CARICOM. Remember when all CARICOM, the CARICOM leaders, Dr. Al Gonzalez, the Prime Minister at the time, and Prime Minister Mia Mottley, and others were saying that the Caribbean is a zone of peace. When America was here with the troops, they said that it had to do with narco trafficking and human trafficking and that kind of thing. And then we see they blow up boats in the sea. That it went to Congress or something in America where they were saying that no permission was given to carry out that, because under normal circumstances or under circumstances, drug traffickers, narco traffickers are held and are prosecuted, and if found guilty, make jail in America. There's nothing that says to exterminate them or execute them, anything like that. Our Prime Minister was saying kill them violently and all kind of things she was saying, and she was basically ridiculing CARICOM and CARICOM leaders who were saying that this is a zone of peace. She said the Caribbean is not a zone of peace, and Trinidad had her own opinion because she was speaking first again, making decision first, and don't want to be questioned. So she was, in my opinion, ridiculing CARICOM. Now, Madam is going to speak to CARICOM. So listen what she was saying. Listen to some things she said about CARICOM. You could even ask in this country, is Trinidad and Tobago pulling out of CARICOM? Listen.
Fractures within CARICOM appear to be widening by the month, as a region that once defined itself by its creed of unity now finds itself sharply divided on one of the most consequential issues it has faced in decades. Despite mounting criticism on the regional bloc from Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar, ranging from accusations that some member states are unreliable to blunt claims that CARICOM has aligned itself with a dictator and narco government in Venezuela, there is for now no indication that Trinidad and Tobago is preparing to withdraw from CARICOM. Asked by CNC3 News if a government is considering formally withdrawing from CARICOM, the Prime Minister responded, that has not been discussed by Cabinet. We followed up asking if such a decision is up for discussion. Persad-Bissessar said not at this time. But the Prime Minister is still receiving criticism for her condemnation of CARICOM. In a post to X, former Prime Minister Stuart Young said Persad-Bissessar's words are reckless, unwarranted, dangerous and destructive. He called on someone to explain to the Prime Minister how important CARICOM is to this country's manufacturers and economy. Now, according to the 2025 Review of the Economy released by the Ministry of Finance in late 2025, this country's exports to CARICOM between October 2024 and June 2025 reached around 5.95 billion TT dollars or 877 million US. Meanwhile, CARICOM Secretary General Dr. Carla Barnett, in her end-of-year message, called on the region to deepen unity and collective action as Caribbean states confront the effects of natural disasters, geopolitical pressures, and economic uncertainty. Akash Samaru, CNC3 News.
All right, so it appears that the Prime Minister have a penchant here to bully you, buff you up, insult you. It's just like an abusive husband or wife, abuse you and then come back now and give you something and make you feel that, oh my God, it must be not them fault, it must be my fault why they treating me so. Because after I say all them things about CARICOM, embarrass CARICOM leaders, ridicule CARICOM leaders, in my opinion, you're going and do this now. The Honorable Kamno Prasad Bisesa, CMP, Prime Minister Trinidad and Tobago, will deliver remarks at the opening ceremony of the 50th regular meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government of the Caribbean Community CARICOM. St. Kitts Nevis, the 24th to the 27th of February 2026. That's how I can be in politics. I can be in politics. Because you see them kind of thing, I can't sit down comfortable with you next to me after you ridicule the Caribbean and all them things. You feel it better than Trinidad, better than the rest of the thing, the CARICOM. We don't need CARICOM. That way is behaving. When you know very well our local manufacturers depend on CARICOM and Caribbean countries to buy we goods, millions and millions of dollars. A GNP, like gross national product, what products we sell from here or we ship abroad, whether Caribbean or out of the Caribbean, regional, international, what money made from that is our gross national product, GNP. And what we make in Trinidad is our GDP, gross domestic product. So you know we dependent because we are finding outside market what they're talking about here, new markets to market we goods. And then you raise the tax on gas. So the manufacturing sector having a hard time. This company and some Macal pull out from them. Cement going up because gas price go up, everything will go up. So Trinidad and Tobago need the Caribbean with all them high taxation. They need the Caribbean now to really buy the goods. So when you say all kind of thing, them think about people in the Caribbean, whatever, you're going to sit down now with them amongst them and go and get speech. Look now, your tongue should tie up. Yes, I just might think your tongue should tie up. I don't like them kind of thing, them deceitful underneath nasty thing, but I don't like that. I just want to put this on the stage here. So this is some of the work that the PNM would have done with the UNC want to take credit for. Lord Father, this thing. Let me see if I could squint and see this thing. Look back and I'll hear now. So reform-free zones, that was before April 20th. Reform-free zones implemented, Jesus, oh Lord, BEPS, multinational tax reporting, signed the OECD multilateral tax information exchange. Oh, Jesus. Communities, I think that's what it is, forgive me. Activated automatic exchange of financial accounts information, passed Mutual Administrative Assistance in Tax Matters Act, ratified all required international agreements, prepared for and passed the OECD Global Forum, something has been there, to the extended, is that expanded tax information exchange network, past the factor, nice factor, FAT, I think nice factor compliance, oh Lord, Jesus. Lobbying with the right, past the FATF compliance, lobbying with the EU Commission and the OECD people, passed Special Economic Zone Act, I think that is it. Listen, the list goes on. That is the work that the PNM did that would have made it possible for us to be removed from the European Union blacklist after April 2020. After April 2025, this is what the UNC want to take credit for. Report release, communities met, EU delisting announced. So all that work is for the PNM. The UNC do no work. But I want to talk about, Bubbles want to talk about, we off the list. And Bubbles only have nothing to do with it. And we have the receipts to show that. So let me remove that. So as I say again, I can be no politics. Because me can sit down in a room with no politician who say all them terrible things about us as a people, us as a nation, us as a Caribbean community. And after you're done, I say again, this woman is an abusive woman, in my opinion. I did enough psychology, I could have a conversation. I can't diagnose, I can't prescribe medication, nothing like that. But I can have a conversation. In my opinion, she's a very abusive person. Ball you up, all kinds of things, and then come back nice something with you and give you something, and then after a couple of days, come back and ball you up again and ill-treat you and insult you, all that. So we will see how that goes. So Shell, the big conversation is Shell has gotten a general license for exploration in Venezuela, and that will allow it to progress with dragon natural gas. And again, the UNC is operating as if it has something to do with them, and that it has something to do with Trinidad and Tobago. This is Shell. Shell just happened to be a company that operates in Trinidad, is a transnational corporation company, but their headquarters is not in Trinidad. Shell is obligated to their shareholders in wherever it is, in America, or wherever it is, not to Trinidad and Tobago. What has happened while we just getting on the thing is when Trinidad and Tobago is at the table, when these transnational companies negotiating for contract, that we at the table to say, hey, we need a piece of the action, and all they had the machinery, all they had the money to finance them exploration and thing. But here what's going on? All in we country, so we all are doing it. So this is how we negotiate. If all make X, Y, Z, we have to get something A, B, C, or whatever. But it's negotiated because we are at the table. If Shell alone is at the table with this new general OFAC license for them to do business with the dragon gas in Venezuela, is Shell and the operators who want to talk to, in my opinion, to President Delcy Rodriguez, them going to Venezuela to talk. Them ain't going to say, well, here now, as we hear one time, let me pull in Trinidad in the scene. That is not how business does go. Business does go. You have to be at the table to represent. It's come up as I be standing rural Munila or any technical team to go and talk to Delcy Rodriguez after she's persona non grata in Venezuela and all the nasty things she said about Ms. Delcy Rodriguez and the former President Maduro. Does she even recognize them? So Shell going to deal with Shell, and they can't vex with them. Shell is seeking Shell interest. Trinidad and Tobago not at the table. Them ain't going to negotiate for Trinidad and Tobago. Okay. So as I say, Shell get a general license, and Shell is saying that that will allow them to progress with the dragon natural gas. And yeah, can't vex with them. Here come up as a business. Again, always wanting to take fame for what they never do. This was October 11, 2025. Let's just show you how long she eye long looking to get people Ting. So she joined with Donald Trump. They come and get license. Some 6 months something. Oh, remember that? They make big scene. The dragon is alive. The dragon is alive. And they join with America, with whatever was carried out in the Caribbean there. A judge or a court or whatever will adjudicate on whether that is war crime, whether it's good crime, whether it's organized, whatever it is. But she joined with America, and in my opinion, telling she said she go get something. We ain't get nothing. We wasn't offered no license. Shell was offered license. Shell is not a Trinidad company. So in 2025, in October, after a couple of months in office, Prime Minister Kamala Persaud described the United States Office of Foreign Assets Control license for the Dragon Gas project as a major win for Trinidad and Tobago. How did we win? And the Attorney John Jeremy announced on Tuesday that Trinidad and Tobago has officially been granted an OFAC license from the United States Treasury Department to pursue the development of Dragon Gas project with Venezuela. That was last year. What come with that? Now this year, Shell has gotten a general license. Not Trinidad and Tobago. Shell has gotten a general license to treat with the dragon gas. But you have to remember, Shell still has to talk and negotiate with Venezuela because the gas is not American gas, right? So what is that general license? So let me look and see what's that general license. What's that general license here? Just a minute. A general license. A general license is a license of authorization from OFAC to engage in a transaction that otherwise would be prohibited. There are two types of license, general license and specific license. Hear that again? There are two licenses. Shell did not get a specific license, Shell get a general license. A general license authorizes a particular type of transaction for a class of persons without the need to apply for a license. Let me read that. A general license authorizes a particular type of transaction for a class of persons without the need to apply for a license. And a specific license is a written document issued by OFAC to a particular person or entity authorizing a particular transaction in response to a written license application. Only hear that? Look at this. Look at this. December 24, 2023. License from the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela to explore, develop, produce, and export gas from the Dragon Field to Trinidad and Tobago. Signed and delivered. It was a specific license because Trinidad and Tobago were oh God, just now, let me take a little sip. Trinidad and Tobago would have invested in time in my member of parliament, Stuart Young, the member of parliament for the state North St. Anne's West when he was Minister of Finance, in going back and forth to Venezuela to talk with Ms. Delcy Rodriguez, who was the Minister of Energy, I think, across there. And remember, first we had gotten a license. Before that, when we went and was negotiating with Venezuela, it said that Venezuela basically can't get no money from this thing. And Venezuela was in agreement with that. And Stuart Young, with his brilliance, that is brilliance, that is performance. Give us performance. He would have, again, under the leadership of Dr. Keith Christopher and the technocrats in the energy sector, the technocrats who this government would have removed from the energy sector, who knows about the energy sector, who has years of experience, and remove that PS from there. Anyway, would have gone back, negotiation back and forth, where they finally come to where Venezuela could get money from it. So the deal was signed off on between Trinidad and Tobago and Venezuela. Trinidad and Tobago have no license or no negotiation, nothing written to negotiate with Venezuela to get the Dragon gas enacted again. Shell, a transnational company, has a general license that will allow them to now start their negotiations with Venezuela, because they can't just go in and start to take the people gas. They have to now negotiate with Venezuela. And coming out of that, they will get a specific document stating this. Just like Stuart Richard Young, SC, would have gotten on behalf of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago on December 24, 2023, a license from the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela to explore, develop, produce, and export gas from the Dragon Field to Trinidad and Tobago, signed and delivered. And with that license, because Stuart Young can go and Ting for no oil and no gas, He can't go and lay no pipe. The companies who hear, the transnational companies, Shell and BP and all them, they know we're going to be able to do the extraction. And then the PNM build that thing down in Labrador. The thing was making Tufco, whatever the name, where they make the pipe and everything. Pipe was done, made to lay, to run it. We had where we get that kind of permission where the manatee and the coquina and them were more or less on land that was running. And the transnational companies, no, the deal wasn't between the transnational companies and Venezuela. It was between Trinidad and Tobago. And then Shell and them would have been a part of that because them is the one going to drill. This thing with Shell that had nothing to do with Trinidad and Tobago. So what work? And I'm an amateur in this thing. And I just common sense talking. So what we getting out of that? You remember when the People's National Movement came into office in 2015, meeting a recession and having to pay a 14% increase to public officials. They went all about looking for the money in the country to get to pay these debts, recurring expenditure and those debts. And everywhere they go to have no money, the UNC don't use all and total money. Although they had the highest gas prices ever, even than under Dr. Eric Williams. They eat out everything, eat out, drink out everything. We see what happened in NGC, roti selling for $1, hot dog, ketchup, all kind of thing. They like the stuff. They like the stuff. That one of their own thing, never see much thief and so before. The thief and as if they have a right to thief. We didn't say so. And I just lose my train of thought. They'll come back, it will come back. Bam, 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 bam. So, yes, they went all over. Nothing. So they went to the oil company, them transnational companies in Trinidad. Hey, what happened? All them paying all the taxes now. Because you know that is US money thing. They say, hey, wait. You ain't any memo. We don't have to get all the nothing till 2024. We could drill, baby, drill will be drill. And if we get thing, we take it. If we get welfare, nothing till 2024. And the same Dr. T. Christopher Rowley and minister had to renegotiate them contract to get money. All them things keep you from going to the IMF. You remember when Dr. Rowley would have said in an energy forum in Guyana, when circumstances change, contracts change because contracts are not written in stone. But you have to have a good negotiator. It has nobody in the UNC. I say so with my whole chest, and my chest and little big, my whole chest. It has nobody in the UNC good like Stuart Richard Young negotiator. Take that to the pipe, or take it and put it in your pipe. But later on, don't let the pressure build up on your neck like a bubble. So let me continue. So that is there. So this is written by a person I love to read his pieces. Mr. Edmond Dihani. He said, you can tell a government is drifting when its newest minister's first instinct isn't to explain policy, but to compose a hymn from the very office he now shares with the leader he's praising. Wilfred Nicholas Morris' release isn't really about OFAC, Venezuela, or energy. It's about court etiquette, who gets praise and what order and how much polish. Natural interest is a supporting character, trailing behind resilience, vision, and fortitude. And that's the point. He is not the cause of dysfunction. He's the latest symptom. Under Kamala Prasad Tester's performance replaces output, adjective replaces evidence, and loyalty becomes the main deliverable. You get a swelling cabinet, multiple ministers in the office of the Prime Minister, and a steady stream of releases that read like internal fan mail. While the country asks the basic questions, where is the gas? Where is the growth? Where is coherent policy or foreign policy? The OFAC license exists. They are useful. They were issued because Washington recalibrated sanctions after the shock in Caracas. None of this requires local methodology or mythology. Yet the public is asked to accept a rewritten reality in which these licenses are the direct fruit of one leader's valiant journey. Spin still nods at the fact. This isn't spin. It takes an external decision, repackage it as a personal triumph, repeat it until questioning the story feels unpatriotic. Meanwhile, contradictions pile up. We were told we did not need Venezuela gas. We now celebrate licenses that make it possible. We posture as Washington's most reliable friend, yet say almost nothing about the authority currently sitting in Mayor Flores. Morris' release exposes the operating system. Advancement isn't tied to results. It is tied to how loud the praise erupts. Governance becomes theater and everyone clapping for the lead actor while the set quietly burns. For a government that promised delivery, this is the most demanding or the most damaging shift. Loyalty as currency, competence optional. Ministers no longer bring uncomfortable data, they bring incest or incense. And the public is told to call it progress. In 9 months, the fast rising skill in the government of Trinidad and Tobago isn't energy policy, foreign negotiation, or economic management. It's knowing exactly how to clap. Again, beautifully written there by Mr. Edward Ihani. I hope I give it justice. So we have MP Stuart Young saying, the Kanaba Sessa government has failed to achieve anything new in the energy sector since assuming office in May 2025, apart from the shutdown of Nutrien and the loss of competitiveness in our manufacturing sector. They are now claiming to have broken ground by pursuing collaboration with Guyana and Suriname. This is completely false. It was the PNM administration that signed the agreement with both the government of Guyana and Suriname to collaborate in the energy sector and had ongoing discussion. We also signed agreements that had ongoing collaborative arrangement with Stat Soli, the state-owned national oil company in Suriname, and we were pursuing investments in Guyana in solar, gas, and extractive sector. There is not a single new initiative that Kamla Persaud-Sessa's government has achieved into the energy sector to date, not one. Lastly, with respect to cross-border gas from Venezuela, the government is not involved in direct negotiation with the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, and this could never be to the Trinidad and Tobago's benefit. It was the PNM administration that managed to achieve a 30-year exploration and production license for the Dragon gas field, the 20-year exploration and production license for Kokuna, and the OFAC license in the name of the government of Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Very different from Shell PLC and BP PLC as now has happened. Unfortunately, we have a government that continues to try and mislead the population by fabricating information and trying to pass themselves off as achieving what has already been done. May God bless our country because we are not winning in continued service. Stuart R. Young, SCMP, February 1926. And I kid you not, I did not read this. So my opinion I gave before was on point. Yeah? Let me continue. Because we have some business to talk, and we have more business to talk. Then I'm seeing here now something written by one Anthony Wilson. It was in the Guardian. Is government attempting to stymie non-energy growth sector? Last week, Monday, a team from the International Monetary Fund, IMF, concluded its mission to Port of Spain and Scarborough, during which they held discussion with TNT authorities on the 2026 Article 4 consultation. These discussions were mostly with officials of the Ministry of Finance and the Central Bank, but also with some private sector organizations. The Article 4 consultation lasted from January 27 to February 9th, and on the following day, the IMF mission issued a concluding statement which was consented to by the TNT authorities. In terms of its overall assessment of one of the leading indicators of a country's economic health, the IMF team noted real gross domestic product GDP change from negative 0.7% in 2021, 0.9% in 2022, 1.5% 2023, 2.5% in 2024, and an estimated 0.8% in 2025. The projected growth for fiscal 2026, which is from October the 1st, 2025 to September the 30th, 2026, is 0.7%. So how could Bubbles and them tell we this country doing good when we have fallen in estimated growth from 2.5% under the People's National Movement to now 0.7% 2026 under the UNC. Look now, man. You must see how much more of this, and I leave in that right there. One more paragraph and I go. Or they could find it and or they could go and read it. One takeaway from those IMF statistics is that the TNT economy grew by above 1.0% in 2023 and 2024. Who was in office? The People's National Movement, led by Dr. Keith Christopher Rowe. But is estimated to have declined to below 1.0% in 2025 fiscal year and is projected to remain below 1.0% in the current fiscal period. The fiscal period was under the UNC rule. And it is estimated to decline more. When in 2023-24, it was above 0.1%. Now it is below 0.1%. The IMF mission said Trinidad and Tobago economy is gradually recovering at pre-pandemic levels and amidst persistent headwinds. The non-energy sector, particularly manufacturing and services, has underpinned recent growth, but stagnant production in the mature energy sector has outweighed on activity. The IMF staffers reported that the new administration took office in May 2025 with an economic revitalization policy agenda and a focus on rejuvenating the energy sector through facilitating work on mature fields, deep water exploration, and fostering regional collaboration with Suriname, Ghana, and Venezuela. Pie in the sky. That's why I tell you what they write, it look good on paper to the IMF. That's why the IMF going to be keeping a close look. Because them things not realistic. And now here where MP Stuart Young say the PLM government had done all that work with Suriname and Guyana and all that. They would have had the license to deal directly with Venezuela. The OFAC license, the exploration and extraction and all them things. Now we didn't get no license. Shell got a license. Shell is not Trinidad and Tobago. Shell not going there to not because they love we. When it comes to business, it's money. They have no love there. So Shell ain't going and deal nothing to in we best interest because we not at the table. They're doing this in the interest of their shareholders, which is not we. But if we get the license, we the shareholders and the government will deal with Shell to make sure we the stakeholders, whatever Shell thing, we go get something about. As it is now, wherever Shell gets. Not on the Trinidad and Tobago. But I ain't reading no more. I'm not reading no more because the IMF ain't get no glowing report. Right? We in a mess. And this UNC does lie. Not I alone say so. They does lie. They does lie bad. They does lie bad. And that the part I can't take with them. They does lie bad. This is what again? Because if MP Stuart Young ain't come out and talk about the energy sector, he made the energy sector exciting. Anybody tell me if I lie? Long time all we know is gas and oil coming from there, and we just get money. And we want money, we want increase in salary, we want back pay, we want more welfare program and things because the country making money from gas and oil. We didn't know what the hell going on, we wasn't interested. Minister Stuart Young, as Minister of Energy, made the energy sector exciting. I was all up in it and everybody all up in it because he posted pictures, video this and he going down with it and he doing it step by step by step by step. So you know everything. You're waiting on for the next episode because he say, hey, he tell me this and be coming out, done, 3, done, till they finally show the license that we negotiated with Venezuela. We say, yes! And then all they went and FA and all the FO. Okay? Let me see if I could get this open because all of a sudden, it want a show like this to exist. This right. This was 11 hours. That was not 11, no. In the Guardian, no new energy initiative from government, says Young. Former Energy Minister Stuart Young has rejected claims by the current administration that it has broken new ground in regional energy cooperation, arguing that all substantive initiatives with Guyana and Suriname were advanced under the previous People's National Movement. Young maintained that since the United National Congress administration led by Kamala predecessor took office in May 2025, they may have a duplication of things, but this is about regional now. There has been no new achievements in the energy sector. He pointed instead to the shutdown of Nutrien and what he described as a decline in competitiveness within the manufacturing sector. He contended that collaboration with Guyana and Suriname was formalized under the PNM through signed agreements and ongoing discussions. According to Young, arrangements were also concluded with right. So again, he said no, as with regards to cross-border and near-border natural gas discussion with Venezuela. Young argued that the government is not engaged in direct negotiation with the Bolivarian Republic and that such an approach would not be in the interest of TNT. He stated that it was the PNM administration, and he said all the, I would have said it before, all the license that we would have secured with Venezuela. Right? And the UNC has denounced the administration in Miraflores, Caracas. So put it when I talk to. Young accused the government of attempting to claim credit for initiative already concluded and of misrepresenting record. His comments come a day after Minister of Energy Rizal Munal signaled a reset in regional energy diplomacy while addressing the Guyana Energy Conference and Supply Chain Expo in Guyana. Munal acknowledged that closer synchronization between Trinidad and Tobago and its regional neighbors had not progressed as it should have in recent years. He outlined plans for a structured framework for cooperation, including a recurring platform for regional energy ministers and technical team to coordinate policy, investment planning, and infrastructure development. He also promoted TNT established energy infrastructure, including pipelines, liquefied natural gas facilities, and petrochemical plants as a base that could support faster gas monetization for emerging producers rather than duplicating capitalists. Listen now. One thing, and I don't know if this is good to give them any type of thing to. They could lie good. Oh, Jesus. Them could spin a story that ain't true and how you wondering if it's true. Dr. Munal talking as if them do something. All contracts they meet and all arrangements and agreements and everything signed they meet as the People's National Movement do it. Oh God, man. All this so disingenuous. You all can't say that we working with what we meant. You can't say that. Moving as if you do something. You was one of the dumbest minister of energy it have. And I say that with all respect because that is not your forte. That's not your forte. They put you there to embarrass you. You shouldn't be back in HDC and whatever the thing was. You ain't have nothing in energy to know not more energy. And on top of that, the permanent secretary was there for years who train in them thing, who are masters and all kind of thing in them thing. Or let's send the woman in where I think Ministry of Sports. What the hell she know about sports? She could have, if all was serious, that woman would have still be there as a permanent secretary because she understand the thing she was there. All not serious. Let me continue because some things to get to. Not that this is serious. But you know what? Let me move on. And for heaven's sake, Minister of Culture and all who talking. When all they say that Carnival was a success, it's based on what? Crowd? Well, if it's the crowd, I don't care. If that is what I was looking at quantity and not quality. So they 5,000 and thousands of people. And then how kind of free events all over the place. And people come up because they have money and all they call that a success. That again, the abuse continues. You all abuse the public by firing people on spot. That is abuse. Financial abuse. And then give them something free. And counting that as achievement and initiative and progress. All they want to make this country into a welfare state. All they always complain about the PNM. No, it's all they want to make this country in a welfare state. This carnival, in my opinion, was a welfare carnival. Crowd alone is not a criteria. Anyway, if all the judging success based on quantity, that means how much people. Well, okay, yes. If all they want to judge this on quality and economic profitability, or they could never ever say that this carnival was a success, or they to deceitful and underneath, or they're trying to sell this to the public. Let me tell you something, eh? UNC don't have a history of good management in this country. When it had money, can't manage. When it didn't have money, what's it? So they could try to spin it, sell it. You as American, that I sure they must want to distance themselves from. You ain't doing the American community no good. You ain't doing the American and them no good at all. So let me continue. Okay. So the calypso. So I'm seeing here that an organization, the Emancipation Support Committee of Trinidad and Tobago, is asking for, and it was in the Guardian yesterday, asking for independent probe into Helon Francis' disruption while he was singing his calypso. And some people are saying on Facebook, oh, well, the live show, and the judges, there was no disruption there. Okay, we never said that. We said when we were watching it on live streaming and pay-per-view, because people all in America and all over the world, they pay money to see the streaming, not for free, you know. And when Helon Francis was singing, especially verse when he talked about censoring or censorship by this government of his lyrics and calypso and freedom of speech, all that, they struck down the mic. And how we know it was deliberate? Somebody purporting, people are saying that is Kenny Phillips, who is the owner of WAC Radio, came and told two of his announcers who were running the program on WAC Radio and on YouTube that we just muted Helon's mic. And we are saying why they needed to do that. So all this coming out to tell we apology and we don't censor, we don't believe all this. Wilfred Morris, Nicholas Morris, let me not say winner. I don't believe all it. I don't know who agree with me that they don't believe it. Apparently, the Emancipation Support Committee want an independent probe into this because this is censorship, right? Let me continue. So we all know the situation with the road march. So Marshall Montano had a press conference, which is right to do. And I think Marshall Montano, I keep saying it, this is my personal opinion. I think he needs to always have people validating. Oh, you're the king, you're the best. And that stems to me from some type of insecurity because the guy is good. You can't take that from him. He's a great performer. You can't take that from Marshall Montano. You're mad. Innovative, energetic. You can even say probably if you want, in his field in this time, some trailblazing and that, and getting masters now and all them kind of things. So yeah, He good. The boy good oi. The man good oi. From back in the day to now, he good oi. Nobody said no. So there was some query with the road march, where the rules that I read for you all last day I had my life. The 2025 rule was that yes, a person who registered to who registered their calypso to enter the road march competition can go on the stage and sing this song to boost it, guitar drive. But what they can't do is keep going back on the same stage with different groups or different band or different whatever and singing the same thing. You have to move on and go on the next stage and the next stage, next stage. That's how I interpret what it had. So people saw Marshall would have gone and they would have reported because I did not watch it. I ain't watching nothing with Calypso, nothing this year. When I saw the presenters and what they were doing and all. So people reported that he was going from truck to truck. So he would have had a press conference to explain he wasn't going from no truck to truck. He had obligation with different bands. So when he finished singing with one, he went to another one, whatever. I ain't disputing that if he says so, whatever. But we also heard, so in that context, he said he didn't do anything illegal. And if that is what happened, based on 2025 rules, he didn't do anything illegal because he was going from truck to truck on the same stage, different stage. But then NZ King come and said they changed the rule from 2025 to 2026, where you could do that. So I don't know could do what. Because I haven't seen the rules. I don't think nobody in Tuco membership has seen the rules. So we don't know if it says that you could really jump from truck to truck on the same stage, or what has changed fundamentally from 2025 rules that already give the entertainer the permission to sing on the stage and then move on to the next stage. I don't know what has changed. So anyway, he had his press conference and all that to clear it up and all that. Kudos to you for doing that. And I think he would have spoken about the fact that he would have performed at Flavor and he didn't get paid. Right? Okay. Whatever. Yeah, you get paid, that kind of thing. And I think he was compensated or something like that, he would have said. I don't want to not say what the guy did not say, right? And what was instructive to me, he was at the interview. I did see a little piece, and he had some guys flanking him. They had on black jackets or something. So if I vaguely remember, and Marshall Montano had on not a jacket, but some jersey or something. And while at the press conference, he put out a jersey, a green jersey, a lime green kind of jersey, and put it on over his stuff. And I think it had to do with B-Mobile. So apparently, he has now become again, he has now gotten back a contract with B-Mobile. So, and my thing is, why didn't you just come to the press conference with the jersey on? Why you needed to come in a normal jersey and while the thing going on, you put it on? I don't know if it's for effect or glamour, whatever it is, but kudos to you, son, that you'll get your contract with B-Mobile. So I was looking at the difference between compensation and pay, right? So the core difference between paying and compensation or compensating somebody lies in the scope of what is provided and the reason for the transfer value. So paying typically refers to a straightforward exchange of money for work, time, or goods, while compensating is a broader, more strategic term that implies making someone whole, rewarding them for value/result, or providing comprehensive package that includes non-monetary benefits. So is it one of the compensation, excuse me, you getting back the B-Mobile contract? I see nothing wrong in that. I'm just asking. Is it compensation? Somebody could ask that you win, or situation so favored you to win the so-called road march. I just asking a question, I'm implying no improper motive, but I'm talking about compensation. Or is it compensation we might see you in the parliament as a senator, which is nothing because Hill and Francis, it was an independent senator, so there's nothing wrong in that. Or are we going to see you as a grand ambassador for the culture and all that, because now you have a doctorate, so you're well qualified. And nothing wrong in that, but we're talking compensation, so we're asking if what are we going to see coming out of this stage, right? So again, congratulations to the young man, and we will see what happens then. I am seeing also that the person who wrote Encore, a songwriter, we can understand that Marshall is not really a songwriter that people write for him. Nothing wrong in that. There are people who can write and can sing, and there are people who can sing and can write. There are some entertainers like full-blown Nadia Batson and others who could sing and they could write. Yeah? Some people don't have the both. So Encore songwriter, that's this handsome guy here. He's proud of back-to-back road march wins. And it says here, after party, so he wrote party also, party, we wanna party. On the road last year, songwriter Andre Jeffers and producer Explicit Mervyn Sudin and Kyle Phillips got their encore as they successfully defended road march titles this year, and they are elated. The song performed by Machel Montano was played 171 times on the road over Carnival Monday and Tuesday. Aaron Voice St. Louis placed second, and Can't Behave Herself and Mungie Garland third with Still a Road Man, right? So congratulations there to songwriter Andre Jeffers and his team on that feat, back-to-back road march songs that they wrote for Machel Montano. What does calypso mean? Because there's a debate raging on, there's a reason why I'm asking these things or reading these articles. So this was February 2011, a story by Debbie Jacob, Culture Music Trinidad and Tobago, and that's the main menu stuff it says here. I'm just reading a little part of it. Calypso has always been a narrative about Caribbean life, says Professor of Literature and Calypso expert, rest in peace, Gordon Rolle. There are calypsos about war, carnival, cricket, football. Rolle says it is possible to understand any era in the Caribbean by studying calypso. You can analyze changes of attitude by just following calypso. It is one form of documentation, and sometimes it is the only form that can tell us from inside what people were thinking about. Grenadian-born singer Francisco, also known as the Mighty Sparrow, transformed calypso in the 1950s with outrageous performances that challenged the sexual mores of the day. Sparrow used his performance as well as cleverly crafted lyrics written by others as a weapon against colonialism. In Down as a Man in the Van, he criticized the colonial education system for turning Caribbean children into fools, sprouting nursery rhymes that had nothing to do with their culture. In Federation, Sparrow lashed out at Jamaica when it pulled out of an agreement for the island to unite under one government. Sparrow injected a sense of bravado into calypso such as Gina and Dinah, reclaiming Caribbean women, even prostitutes, as Caribbean men, for Caribbean men when the Americans pulled out of their naval bases in Trinidad. Calypso also banked on humor based on double entendre and sexual innuendos in the 1970s. In the 1970s, Sandro Lee delivered Stickman of the Year about a stick fighting encounter with a woman named Winnie, an Iron Man, about an inventor charged with having too much iron in his possession. The earliest humor Picong delivered caricatures about people and the way that they dressed and looked, says Rolle. Right? Women were fair game. Sparrow sang about Melda, unkept and smelly. Women were conniving and untrustworthy. But in 1998, Neil Iowa George Calypso Bottom in the Road got body slammed by women who expressed outrage. Shocked and confused, George responded with Bottom in the Road, and was a reference to the fine craft beguiled. but that marked the end of criticizing women in calypso. Humorous calypsos began to emerge and form that was altogether a good thing. Humor got vicious in the last 2 decades, Roller said, particularly political calypso. They are harsh criticism. When things happen, we have to ask ourselves, why? Traditional calypsonians often complain about being overshadowed by soca, the more danceable, up-tempo version of calypso found in fetes, calypso parties. Soca given change Soca given change in the 1970s by Lord Shorty, Maestro, and Shadow, and provides the snapshot of it, right? The late Lord Kitchener holds the record for the most road march in Trinidad and Tobago until Marshall Montano a couple of days ago. And the road march and the tune played the most often costume man passing the judging points during Carnival. But in 1970, Winston Bale in Mighty Shadow sang Bassman, a jumpy tune about how Shadow tried to forget Calypso and go back to Tobago to plant peas, and which ushered in the new year of Calypso with bouncy bass line. Shadow Bassman definitely had an enormous impact on Calypso and its landmark, says Raleigh. And he continues and he continues and he continues. Very interesting reading, right? So that is what Calypso means to us in the Caribbean. And in his book, he would have also written a book about the essays on Sparrow, Whole Life is Calypso, and Gordon Raleigh was from Tanapuna. I think he was Guyanese, if I'm not mistaken, but lived in Trinidad and Tobago. So he would have done his work on the book of Sparrow. Let me see if I could just read a little thing. Hey, all of a sudden the damn thing can't write. So in his author's preface, Gordon Raleigh describes my whole life as a calypso as my personal tribute to Sparrow for his 80 years of residence on Earth and his 60 years of affirmative performance of calypso. He also considered it a sample of my contemplation of the career of one of the region's premier and most celebrated artists, and advises that the book comprises locally or comprises basically my whole life is calypso. Right? So you all who don't have the book, you can probably go get the book to show you the importance. But Raleigh was speaking on specifically on Mighty Sparrow. So let me continue. So somebody wrote again, where's the wit in Calypso? This was February 20th, 2026. Daily Express, and it says, I'm showing you the importance of Calypso. So when you try to stymie our voice, what you are trying actually to do. It says here, I watched the Dimash Grand show on Sunday night and I was bowled over by the sheer artistry and creative brilliance of the costumes of the Carnival Queen, but not so with the Calypso segment. For me, there was too much preachifying, as if we were in church, for that is where such belongs. Messages are expected, but they should be presented in the true spirit of Carnival, which is humor, fun, and laughter, which can only be achieved by the skillful use of artistry, literary devices, such as satire, caricature, mockery, and double entendre. Right? Inter alia, leaving the audience in stitches as they see through the real messages coming through, not beaten into part resignation by a moral yardstick. Which is why the Mighty Sparrow has no equal in the Calypso world. His classic, Get to Hell Out of Here, leave the audience in the sweet ambivalence of seeing the then mighty Dr. Eric Williams as arrogant and dictatorial for who no damn dog barks, as against a powerful leader in full control. The bar dares to offend, but the audience does not miss the double entendre. There is no direct telling or preaching here, but the wit employed is exhilarating. And equally to the audience, and equally so, the audience is in stitches over his mockery of the colonial system of education done in man in the van, making us laugh at ourselves in being so culpable in believing the cow actually jumped over the moon. And when he is ready to be spicy and juicy, there's none to equal May May. He lizard and melder, but not indecency for indecency's sake, but subtle social commentary on the wiles of both the trini, male and female, in which we recognize our own selves, over which we have a good laugh. There is no preachy moralizing here, but narrative as broady as Chancellor in the Miller's Tale, which equal artistic brilliance. And how can we forget the Queen Canary? Not a calypso in the true sense, but capturing the humor that is a hallmark of calypso art form, which the officers snatching off Miss Powell, snatching what Miss Powell had hidden under his hat, Mr. Powell had hidden under his hat, thinking it was the Queen's canary, as Powell had suggested with a wild comment afterwards that the blasted canary dead when comes such another. It is against this backdrop of Sparrow that one can see the presentation of the Night of the Masquerade as for the most part, as being more evangelic rather than truly carnival, which is why the criteria set for presentations on the night and the judges' chosen music suit the true spirit of carnival. Right. Which is why the criteria set for presentations on the night and the judges chosen must suit the true spirit of carnival. Marks must not only be for a message, but for the skillful execution of those messages through artistic strategies such as wit, satire, double entendre, and the like, to achieve the effect of humor, fun, laughter, which are the essence of carnival spirit. And the judges themselves must not be mere popular carnival personnel, but must be knowledgeable in such strategies and not only rely on public perception of the would-be winner or crowd reaction on the night. What is your take, the person for that? I'm giving you a foundation to where I'm going with all these things and things. So listen to Marshall Montano, what he would have said prior to the road march.
Well, I mean, that has to happen, first of all. And what has happened is already as big. So to be on par with Lord Kitchener is the pinnacle. You know, it has already been reached. I don't think there's any major benefit of beating him because he's not going to come back out of the woodworks. And I think it will take the youngsters quite a while to amass our next 12 road marches. You know, we have people like Fianna with 3, we have 1 or 2 people with 2. But I think, you know, it will be a feat for them to look at and say, hey, here is something that a young person can do in their lifetime. A living person. You know what I'm saying? And for us, it is always about what we're doing this year. We always focus on the masquerader. We always focus on when they cross that ramp and they're ready to go on that stage. But not only when they go on the stage, when they're on the stage, how to take them even higher. And we have songs on our belt like Jumbie and, you know, Big Truck and even Footsteps, which Pamela and I wrote for Wayne Rodriguez, were specific symbolic songs. You know, the years that we missed, A Boy Could and Roberts Road Balance, that was a big one. You know, Nigel and Martin, Moving to the Left, Moving to the Right. Those were songs that we all fool around those people. They were all our, you know, our peers. But we always looking for that big song. So this year is again the same focus. The encore is coming after Party. It's the same thing we wrote Party, and we're looking to do this song that we did last year that did so good. In the beginning, nobody believed in it. But as we was coming closer to the road, everybody understood what the feeling and what the tempo meant to going on the stage.
Right? So you all heard what he would have said with regards to breaking the record of Lord Kitchener. I want you all to listen to this because this again is the president of Tuku, who I find to be unintelligent when it comes to Calypso, in my opinion, who it appears to be want to nuzzle the Calypsonian and the voice of the Calypsonian, who, in my opinion, based on what I would have spoken about on Wednesday, with all these allegations, and a group of Calypsonians who are member of TUCO are trying to get information based on allegations about the accounts of TUCO. And here Kokro say that since the situation involving him using Calypso as a forum to defend Curry Marcel, member of parliament and lawyer, when he became a lawyer, and the nasty things that deceased Ancient Ishmael had to say about him. And Krokro, using his voice and using Calypso to tell the story, would have sung about it, and Ancient Ishmael would have taken him to court, and monies were to be paid by Krokro. Well, Ancient Ishmael has died, unfortunately, so I don't know what's the status of that. However, Krokro would have said that up to now, Tuco have not reached out to him to have a conversation on that. And we would have heard during that time Krokro was going through this, having to throw concert and thing to get money for lawyer and that kind of thing. Ainsley King was speaking things about bringing back the Indians to the tent because the Calypsonians like Krokro and they, are paraphrasing, would have run them from the tent with a political calypsos. And I would have read something on Wednesday where it said that when the PNM was in office and the Calypsonians turned their lyrical guns on them in protesting against what they're doing, nobody had a problem. But the PNM is considered a more African-based party, so they were singing against the Africans. But when UNC came into office under Mr. Pandey, Calypsonians criticizing Pandey because as an Indian-based quote-unquote party, Indian people took it as racism against them and victimization. And if I were to go by what Ainsley King said, because of that, they stopped coming to the tent. That is very disingenuous, first of all, because, again, based on conversations I've had, Indian persons would have attended Calypso tent, but it wasn't a large scale to do that. So saying that they run from the tent because of the political calypso that was sung during the time of Mr. Pandey as an Indian Prime Minister as something against Indian people, when under Patrick Manning, Dr. Rowley, George Chambers, Dr. Ike Williams, when they sang the skating calypsos, nobody didn't find it racist, so it harsh on that. Everybody enjoyed it and say, yes, let the Calypsonians sing. To me, some people of the Indian community, some of them like to receive to being the victim. It's just like when Dr. Eric Williams spoke about the recalcitrant minority. Not speaking about Indian people, because Nehru, the Prime Minister of India, is who coined that phrase, the recalcitrant minority in India, talking about Indian people in India who was stymied and fighting against progress in India. But for years, we heard the word, didn't even know how to spell the damn word, and we were led to believe Dr. Ike Williams was racial against Indian people. Me personally, I decided, see me, I'm going to pronounce the word and spell it how I pronounce it, and bam, the word come up. And I read it. I said, oh God, let me read and see what it say here about Indian people. And when I see the meaning, I said, what the hell is this? This speaks about being stubborn and obstinate. Anybody could be stubborn and obstinate. I could be a recalcitrant because I'm stubborn and obstinate. It had nothing to do with Indian, but they have used the word, and that's what some continue to do in Trinidad and Tobago. Some people of Indian descent, they like to contort and put things in people's mind that's not there. Gaslighting. Some of Indian descent. I do not say all, because there are some people of Indian descent do not go down the road of racism like Kamla Prasad Bisesandi, right? So I'm saying all this to say, I want you all to listen to this, something that is attributed to Ainsley King, the president of TUCO. And this was from I-95.5. Listen to it. It's two parts. Listen carefully.
Understand the way the new rule is going. So to me, it looked like they put that rule there. There's a marshal to win that. That's my point of view.
So
Thanks for your.
All right, so let's go to a report that was done. That was done on state TV, and this is the news report. Listen to it. Listen to it carefully, because clearly this is causing some consternation.
Oh, this is Tuco president, and
yes, he was at the meeting.
This was yesterday.
Yes. Yeah. So this is the news report that was aired on state TV. Listen carefully. Listen to everything that was said.
It wasn't permitted then, but now a man could go and sing any amount of time, you know.
President of the Trinbago Unified Calypsonians Organization, Ainsley King, said as of January 2026, there are no rules that prohibit artists from performing their songs on multiple trucks on Carnival Monday and Tuesday. Mr. King was responding to questions from journalists at a press conference on Wednesday, where concerns were raised about the possibility of performers disrupting or unfairly influencing the road march process by going from band to band. He, however, clarified that the rules were changed and artists are free to perform as they please. On Wednesday, soca artist Machel Montano made road march history, capturing his 12th title, surpassing the legendary Aldwin Lord Kitchener-Roberts. Mr. King revealed that Machel Montano's song, Encore, dominated the road, being played 171 times. Second place went to Aaron Voice St. Louis with Can't Behave, which played 127 times, while Ian Bunchigalin Alvarez secured third with Roadman, which played 97 times. The Tuco president said Double M's historic win is proof that dedication and relentless hard work will always pay off.
But my take on it is that what was demonstrated is hard work to pay off. That is how, from where I sit, that is what I observe, right? And artists, this is something that artists should pay attention to, because I always believe in competition, that man who put in a lot of work is the one that will edge that competition at the end of the day.
He extended congratulations to Mr. Montano, who he referred to as a greater legend. Lord Kitchener previously held the most road march titles since 1976. Daniel John.
Review. He also said that Machel Montano is a greater legend than Kitchener, the Calypso road march. So keep it in context. In terms of context, his comment was made that Machel Montano is a greater legend than Kitchener road march. Nothing else. And I know many of you might take offense to that, but we played it for you. You heard it for yourself.
So coming out of that, listen to this, and then we'll get into
But I am not the president of Tuco. Mr. King is.
I have a feeling Mr. King has a tendency to say the wrong things the wrong way. I'm beginning to think that way. He may say it in a different way and it comes across bad.
Words are critically important.
Critically important. So I'm going with the 27% this morning.
Wow.
27%. Yeah.
Only 27%?
27% say they agree.
Wow.
The rest say they don't agree. They don't see him as greater legend.
In the context of the question?
Which we repeated 5 and 6 times.
Look, it is what it is. So what's the result?
So 73% say they don't agree with Mr. King.
All right.
But 27% say they agree.
Okay.
Right? So a poll was done in the context. And I'm surprised that I next time come back with that same conversation again. Yesterday, just in my opinion, yesterday Darren Master on the program would have gone over this thing and whatever. I remember the two hosts that we now saw there, I think, Tuesday, Wednesday, I think it was, or sometime during, some Wednesday probably, I said after they finished all that, That is it with carnival and blah, 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 blah. No, Thursday morning, I think they would have said, whatever. I was surprised to see that this morning they come back with that same conversation again about this question now, and in the context, telling us now that ANC King said it in the context of the Marshall Montano winning 12 road march over Kitchener's 11, and that make him a greater legend than Kitchener. I disagree with the word greater than Kitchener. Yes, he broke the records, and records are there to be broken. But because a man break Jesse Owens' record, he will be greater than Jesse Owens. What about the journey that Jesse Owens would have taken to reach where he reached? That was just make it great. To overcome all them obstacles and still be successful, that makes you great. Lord Kitchener, his time of singing calypsos was a time where racism in the world was more pronounced. You had civil rights movement, Reverend Martin Luther King, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and so many things happening there. And to leave Trinidad shores as a third world little boy and go out to England to sing calypso, to make us known to the world, I think that is what makes Kitchener great, because it shows us that a lot of calypsonians, young ones especially, stand on today, especially like Marshall Montano one day. It's because of the work done by people like Kitchener. I ain't saying Marshall ain't good or he ain't great, but don't tell me greater than. Because if Kitchener, Sparrow, and them others, and only all them then pave the way, there'll be no talk about who greater than who. But that's just my opinion. But it seems to me, some people say, and the data is here, that when the UNC in office, Marshall Montano seems to prosper. I don't know how true it is. What I'm seeing here, winners of the International Soca Monarch competition from 2011 to 15. Well, we didn't have that this year. We had only, right? And we had free favor thing and concert and all that back. Power Soca, Marshall Montano Advantage, 2011. Groovy Soca, Kes Leventala, Worthless, 2011, 2012. Marshall Montano, Pump Your Flag. And he went on the Power Soca, and then he went Groovy Soca also. Mr. Fett, 2013. Power Soca, Marshall Montano, The Vibes. Groovy Soca, Marshall Montano, Float, 2013. 2014. Power Soca, Marshall Montano, Ministry of Works, or Ministry of Road. And the Groovy Soca went to TZ with Shirley Toussaint, Ben Nobody. 2015. Power Soca again, Marshall Montano, I like a Boss, and Groovy Soca that year went to Olatunji Yearwood. Right? So 2011 to 15, Marshall Montano dominated this period, winning both categories multiple times. Between 2015 and 11, the International Soca Monarchs competition, Trinidad and Tobago, again, it's dominated by Marshall Montano, who won the Power Soca category every year in that period, and often alongside wins in the Groovy Soca category. Me, I say nothing wrong, I'm just saying. Because all these things that give people perceptions, I think, and the perceptions is reality, right? Another thing, when it comes to the road march, a lot of the road march that Marshall Montano would have won is collabs. Family with Bungie and Skinny Fabulous and that whole crew. Love that song. He did duets with other people. He would have won. I can't remember all right now. A lot of duets he would have done and won. He didn't win by himself. So that's something we look at also. Not taking away from the guy brilliance. We'll never do that. So, Ainsley King is saying he's greater than Kitchener.
Let's talk about road march.
What is this? I'm looking at something here from the National Archives. Now there's a picture of Lord Pretender and Kitchener in 1945. And what it says here. Today we are celebrating what would have been the 101 first birthday of the Grand Master of Calypso and Road March, King Lord Kitchener. Born Alwyn Roberts, he won the National Road March competition 11 times, as well as the 1975 National Calypso Monarch with his Calypso tribute to Priest Simon. Both a composer and performer, Kitchener was at the forefront of Trinidad music scene for several decades, taking both local and international audiences by storm with his performances of songs like Cricket, Lovely Cricket, 1950, Mama This Is Mass, 1964, Miss Tourist, 1968, Rainorama, 1973, Sugar Boom Boom, 1978, and Bees Melodies, 1992. Over the course of his career, he wrote over 300 songs, 350 songs, ran his own Calypso 10 called the Calypso Review, and composed the music for 18 Panorama victories. Kitchener was posthumously honored and recognized as a national icon by the government of Trinidad and Tobago. This 1945 photo shows Lord Kitchener left alongside Lord Pretender, is courtesy of the Newsday, March 10, 2000. This newspaper is part of the National Archives of Trinidad and Tobago newspaper collection. Legend. Wrote over 350 compositions, 18 Panorama wins with the bands playing his music. Oh, we did juggling since in 45. We didn't dream to be here yet. And again, some more, we speak about a legend. Lord Kitchener, 77, Calypso songwriter. Lord Kitchener, whose sly wit and graceful melodies made him one of Trinidad's most beloved Calypso songwriters, died on Friday at Hospital Port of Spain, Trinidad, at the age of 77, and lived in Diego Martin, just outside Port of Spain. The cause was a severe infection brought on by a blood disorder, said his manager, Isaac McLeod. Lord Kitchener, whose real name was Alwyn Roberts, wrote party tunes and pointed political statements, risque songs and reminders of heritage and history, singing in a voice that always seemed to convey a dapper wink. His songs were esteemed for their tunes as well as for their humor. He linked calypso to Afro-Cuban rhythms and jazz, and his tunes were regularly arranged for steel bands, winning competitions as instrumentals. He carried calypso abroad, spreading its influence to Jamaica, Ghana, and establishing himself as a recording star in Britain. At Trinidad's annual Carnival contest, his songs won the Road March Award for the songs played and sung most often by parading Carnival groups 10 times, and won the Panorama Steel Drum Orchestra competition 18 times, more than any other songwriter. He had hits for 5 decades. Alwyn Roberts was born in Arima, Trinidad. His father was a blacksmith, taught him the rudiments of guitar and calypso, then called kaiso, which had taken hold in Trinidad in the 1920s. When Alwyn was 14, the death of his parents forced him to drop out of school. His first paying job was to entertain the employees of the water company as they laid pipes. Mr. Roberts had his first local hit, Shops Closed Too Early, in 1938, and he was named Calypso King of Arima in the local carnival competition from 1938 to 1942, before he moved to Port of Spain. Here he joined a group called the Roving Brigade, which performed in movie houses around the city. He was hired by the promoter for the Victory Tent, a calypso performance club, where he made $1 a night working alongside top calypsonians, including Growling Tiger, Roaring Lion, and Attila the Hun. His first major hit in 1944 was Green Fig. A husband's complaint about his cheating wife would not even cook him a good meal. Growling Tiger renamed him Lord Kitchener after English Field Marshal and War Secretary. He became a steady hit maker, entertaining American troops as well as Trinidadians. He performed Green Fig for President Harry S. Truman when he visited Trinidad in 1945. And in 1947, he opened his own calypso tent to feature what he called the Young Brigade, dedicated to peppier, horn-driven, Latin-tinged calypso songs that played down politics in favor of teasing double entendre. But after winning the Carnival competition in 1947, Lord Kitchener left Trinidad. He performed in Aruba and stayed for 6 months in Jamaica, then moved to London, where he was a sensation. He sometimes worked at 3 clubs a night. Lord Kitchener recorded for the Parlophone and Melodisc labels, and he sang for Princess Margaret at the Chesterfield Club. Some of his songs, like White and Black and Africa, My Home, protested the racism he met in Britain. Others were more playful. He moved to Manchester in the north of England and opened his own club. He toured United States in the mid-1950s, and even as an expatriate, he continued to have hits in Trinidad. When he toured in Africa, his music was embraced in Ghana, where calypso became an influence on high life music. After 16 years abroad, Lord Kitchener returned to Trinidad in 1963 and won the Road March competition 3 years running, as well as in 1967 and 1968. He won 5 more road marches from 1970 to 1976, and as instrumental, his tunes won the Panorama contest in 1964 and every year from 1967 to 1977, with 3 more Panorama winners in both 1980 and the 1990s. All his songs were structured for the steel pan, said Ralston Charles, the owner of Charlie's Records, who produced Lord Kitchener's 1978 hit, Sugar Boom Boom, one of the first international hits in the modernized calypso style called soca. That's where he gathered all his fans. He started a Calypso Review tent in 1964, and with it he became a mentor to leading calypsonians of the younger generation. When soca sped up and calypso cut back on its lyrics, Lord Kitchener embraced it as a legacy of what his young brigade had done decades earlier. He was inducted into Calypso Sunshine Award Hall of Fame in 1989. Wearing his trademark suit, tie, and fedora, he performed regularly in the 1990s, including annual appearances at the Mother's Day and Father's Day All-Star Calypso shows in New York City. I've tried to make calypso more intelligent and soca more danceable, he said at an interview with Billboard magazine. In 1993, a petition drive urged the government of Trinidad and Tobago to award Lord Kitchener its highest civilian honor, the Trinity Cross. When the government chose instead to present him with a lesser award, he turned it down. He is survived by 2 sons and 2 daughters. One, Colonel Roberts, is a singer who continues to perform Lord Kitchener's song at the Calypso Review, his club in Port of Spain. The Trinidad government offered to give Lord Kitchener an official burial, but his family rejected the ceremony. The Trinidad Express reported on Saturday, Kitch is a man of the people, and the ordinary man must have the opportunity, if he doesn't have a suit, to come to the funeral. Rose René, a friend of the family, told the newspaper. And this was written, give me a minute. And this was from the National Archives. No. This was a tribute to him after his death. He died at 77. I don't know if I could see this writing, and I will get real trouble. The thing fine like chili baby. Let me see, there's another piece here which I doubt I will be able to open to see. So this is a collection of Lord Kitchener's road marches, 1964, La Fouclée, 1956, Mama Lokaban Passing, 1963, the Road March, 1964, Mama This Is Mass, 1965, My Pussin, numbers 1967, 667, 1968, Miss Tourist, 1970, Maggie, 1971, Mass in Madison Square Garden, 1973, Rainorama, 1975, Tribute to Spree, 1976, Flag Woman. Those are just some of his achievements. So let me see, just a little piece I'm going to read. The road was made to walk. I was born a Calypsonian, he said. So he lived, so he died. In life, Lord Kitchener is one of the 2 titans of Calypso firmament, shredding the world or straddling the world side by side with other Grand Turian of our time, the mighty Pharaoh. In that he leaves us with a corpus that will form one of the bones within the body of memory of 20th century Caribbean. It is a prodigious Papa legacy. But what else could one expect from a protege? Again, because I have to open out this thing and singing like I'm ABC. Alwyn Roberts was that, and from early childhood, I believe why this son of a blacksmith, Alberta growing up in Arima, 1920s, was hearing music in everything around him and finding ways to tell stories from those songs. So this is somebody would have written this about him, Vanessa Bax, right? I'm reading all these things because I want to put it in context. So I felt a bit of disquiet when, in my opinion, the president of Tuco would have flippantly said, and people want us to put it in context, that Lord Kitchener's record was broken by Marshal Montano, and that makes Marshal Montano greater than Lord Kitchener. I find that to be insulted. He is great. I don't understand the greater than, because again, I said, when you look at the body of work by Lord Kitchener. When you look at the era he grew up in, when you look at the things he had to go through, racism and so many other things, to make Calypso known internationally, in Africa, in Britain, regional, to say that because somebody broke his record of road marches, not his body of work in the Pan fraternity, not his body of work as being a songwriter, having written over 350 compositions, not his work in terms of having 18 panorama wins with steel band playing his music, not in terms of work of who he was, having his own Calypso tent, Young Brigade, or is it Young Brigade Calypso Review, to train young Calypsonians. Not all those bodies of work, but naming somebody greater than him because they've surpassed him in road marches, I think that has been very flippant and very disingenuous. Again, this has nothing to do with Marshall Montano, because Marshall Montano did not say he is greater than Kitchener. In fact, you heard him say on a video that basically is not about breaking the record of Kitchener. He showed Kitchener that respect there. But a disrespectful man, in my opinion, who seem to have him out right up to whoever behind, in my opinion, that he has to show how much he could lick, in my opinion, so that you have to say Marshall Montano is greater than Kitchener. Why you need to say that? It's just like TTT muting the mic of Helen Francis. Why you needed to do that? Because the judges hear the whole song and that's where the judge in it. So you blocking viewers from seeing what Helen Francis sing. The audience who watching it on TV and social media, they can't judge Helen Francis. So what's the purpose of you muting the mic? And what's the purpose of you saying, because Marshall Montano did not say that Marshall Montano is greater than Kitchener because he surpassed him in road marches. That is the only thing he's greater than. Tell me about his writing skills, the music he has written. Tell me about the bands who would have played Marshall's music and would have won panoramas. Let me talk that. So I think you misspoke, Ainsley King, and you continue to do it. And in my opinion, because of those things, because you're in charge of TUCO, what come like the Union for Calypso, I think you are doing TUCO and Calypso a disservice. I think that you're misrepresenting Calypso. I think that you're putting out erroneous history of Calypso when there are enough research and information that will discount everything that you're saying. So again, I say, congratulations to Marshall Montano on breaking the record of road marches of Lord Kitchener, having his doctorate now in, I think it's music or something, having attained it from UTT. I do not begrudge you that. You're a terrific, electrifying entertainer. You have done fantastic work and you deserve every success. To say that you're a legend, I think you still have things to do. Sort of powder you up to say that you're a legend. I think that's too much swell-headed thing. You could become a legend because you're now 50 or something around there, whatever it is, and you have plenty of work to do. So how they could then name you a legend and greater than Kitchener? That makes no sense. So this is a legend. Being a legend means achieving extraordinary, long-lasting fame and admiration, usually by pioneering a field, breaking barriers, and creating lasting impact that transcends generations. Legends are trailblazers who passionately pursue excellence, challenging the status quo, and leave a permanent positive mark through their work. Leave, not still leaving, leave. Right? Key characteristics of being a legend include they do not just follow trends, they create new movement and redefine standards in their respective fields. reliance and passion. Legends are forged through hard work and determination, often treating obstacles as stepping stones rather than barriers. Their influence is cross-generational, meaning their contribution are recognized and admired long after their peak. Authenticity. Listen, only leave me alone. Authentic and there's city on it. And character. They stay true to their values, leading with grace and inspiring others through their actions. Examples of this status often appear in fields like art, sports, science, and leadership, where individuals like Albert Einstein, Amelda Earhart, Martin Luther King Jr. changed the world through their unique contribution. Right? We also have our own Lord Kitchener. We have our mighty Sparrow, Shadow, and so many others before. So my thing again to say, Ainsley King, that Marshall Montano is a greater legend than Kitchener because he surpassed him in road march wins is very disingenuous. He is a legend, of course. Young people can say he's a legend. Hard work, that is Mr. Hard Work self, Mr. Work. Dedication, can't take that from him. But the title of saying greater than legend than Kitchener, because of the fact he surpassed Kitchener in road march, not in terms of surpassing in how much original compositions he made. Kitchener had 350 or more. Not surpass him in having more than 18 steel bands play his music and winning panorama. Not in terms of opening a calypso tent or a school to teach young people. Nothing like that, but you call him greater. Now, Marshall could go on to do those things. That is quite okay. But he hasn't done it yet. So if you're talking about road march alone, based on that, you say greater than Kitchener. I do not buy that. Is he a legend? Yes, he'll be out to young people and thing and whatever. Yes, because he's a young man. He has traveled the world, done work here, India, this, that, whatever. Yeah. Greater than Kitchener? I say not. So I want you all to listen to this. And then we would end with Kitchener actually singing. Listen to this.
Tune, Lord Kitchener's The Bee's Melody, arrangement by Jit Samaru, tuning of the pans by Bertrand Kellman, band number 10 playing The Bee's Melody, Amoko Renegades.
All right. So that there was Renegades in 1992, Bees Melody, arrangement by the Sage Samaru, one of our famous East Indian pan arrangers. And although Renegade did not win with it, I always remembered this Bees Melody. This was a Alwyn Roberts Lord Kitchener's composition. His composition that was used. So don't matter on the because I-95.5 is the most influential radio station in Trinidad and Tobago. No matter how much time they try to raise the question, fling it so, whatever, so, and say it's just about the calling him greater than Kitchener is just based on how much road march he win, breaking Kitchener title. The people did not agree. 73% did not agree that Marshal Montano is greater than Lord Kitchener, even though the two announcers, which is their right to do, would have voted with the 27%. So I don't know if they were trying to get a particular result by keep saying it over and over. It had to do with the amount of in the context of the soca and the road marches and all that. People didn't buy that. They're not greater. So just listen quickly to the list of known winning band tunes by Lord Kitchener. 1964, Mama, This Is Mass. 1967, 67, 1968, Miss Tourist. 1970, Maggie. 1971, Play My Soul. Orden, I'm not call the bands that play them, please. 1964, Mama, This Is Mass, North Stars. 1967, 67, Various. 1968, Miss Tourist, Various. Maggie, 1970, Desperados. 1971, Play My Solo Harmonites / Starless at that time. 1972, St. Thomas Girls Solo Harmonites. 1973, Rainorama, Trinidad All Stars. 1974, no specific title listed in search, but they say 1974, they include that, but they didn't put what it is, right? 1975, tribute to Spree Simon, Petrotrin Hatters. 1976, Pan in Harmony, Desperados. 1977, Hazley Crawford, Desperados. 1982 is also a part of the ones that didn't name the band or the tune. 1984, Sweet Pan Renegades. 1985, Pan Night and Day Renegades / Desperados. So apparently there was a tie. 1990, Iron Man Renegades. 1993, another part of the wins. They didn't put the name of the band or the song. 1997, Guitar Pan Renegades. Yeah. So all that forms a part of the greatness of the late Alwyn Roberts Lord Kitchener. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and looking into Let Me Talk the Ting, all 237. It was more people probably tired by now, and I am not feeling tired. But thank you all so much. Thank you for the support, all those on Facebook, all those on YouTube. All my fans, my friends, and everybody, always share the live, and subscribe to Bounce Up Central channel on YouTube. You don't have to pay no money. Nobody want no money. Come on, you just subscribe to it, like it, and let the thing grow. It's we thing by we thing. This is not people thing. This is we thing. It's a platform. All I love, come support the platform. We're not saying financially, but give your support by actually liking the page and subscribing to the page. Thank you all. Love you all so much, so much, so much. And I want to end with this one from Lord Kitchener, 1963, The Road. See you all on Tuesday, God's Day. Be safe, be safe. Have a blessed one. Love you all, guys. Love you, God. God.
Climbing up a mountain high above the sea, I find myself approaching a higher killer bee. Climbing up a mountain high above the sea, I find myself disturbing a higher killer bee. They bite me on me chin, bite me on me hand. The noise that they making, it sound like steel band. Because of the love for music, I refuse to run. But the beats were not sympathetic, they sting me for fun.
Boom, boom, killer they bite me, and killer they sting me, and killer they drag. Boom, boom,
oh God,
killer they choke me, and killer they choke me, all over my head.
Well, I'm feeling the pain, but I'm getting a vibe in the brain. Mama, yo, I start to dance, I start to prance, because the buzzing of the bee formed this beautiful melody. You see,
this bass melody.
Stand up in the bushes, leaning on a tree, watching all the bruises the beast put on me. I say this is tragic, is it wrong or right? For the sake of music, to take all this bite. Well, this was my problem, should I stay or go? Something tell me leave them, something tell me no. Well, I finally decided I'm going to remain. The bees must be say I'm stupid, they lash me again.
Boom, boom, killer they bite me, then killer they sting me, then killer they drag. Boom, boom,
oh God,
killer they choke me,
no more,
then killer they choke me,
too hard,
all over my head.
Well, I'm feeling the pain, but I'm getting a vibe in my brain. Mama, yo, I start to dance, I start to prance, because the buzzing of the bee formed this beautiful melody. Surely,
this bass melody.
I decided leaving, things getting too tough. The way my luck is going, I think I had enough. As I getting ready to clear out the place, up came the queen bee, buzzing round the face. She start pavoneering, music in she wing. Suddenly she flew in and gave me a sting. Before I could ball out, oh gum, like it's dead or dead. The whole of the beehive just swarm and ravage me head.
Boom, boom, killer they bite me, then killer they sting me, then killer they drag. Boom, boom, killer they choke me,
too much,
killer they choke me,
oh God,
all over my head.
Well, I'm feeling the pain, but I'm getting a vibe in my brain. Mama, yo, I start to dance, I start to prance, because the buzzing of the bee formed this beautiful melody. Surely